Start streaming. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Grizzard. This is Calculus Spring 2021. This is the quiz review for 1A, the second one for the second section. I'm sorry, 1B for the second section. What is it? The 330 section. Okay. Let's go over this quiz real fast. I've got like artifacts running around on my page. Make sure I get them all off. Okay. All right. Let's see. So, first question. Definition of a function. Let x and y be sets. Let f be a collection of ordered pairs from x cross y. F is a function if, for every x in x, there exists a y in y so that xy is in f, and for any distinct pairs or any distinct points, x1, x1, y1, x2, y2 in f, x1 does not equal y2. I'm sorry, x1 does not equal x2. Okay, so 1 to 5, how do we feel about this? This is the statement of a definition that I gave in class. This is quiz 1B. Okay. Now, let me show you how these statements are graded. All right. So this right here is called the preamble. Okay. The preamble is optional. It's +1 refund if included and correct. That means that if you mess something up here, let's say you got a 2, you'd get +1, you'd wind up with a 3 out of 4. Okay? If you include the preamble. But the preamble's optional. F is a function if these two conditions are 2 points each. Okay? Now, let's say you didn't remember that, but you remembered this. Every x is used and no x is used more than once. Okay? This is the intuitive definition. This is worth half credit. Now, this was worth half credit, but let's say I did this and the preamble. I would have gotten 3 out of 4. Now, here's how I remember the functions, because I don't remember these definitions like this. I remember what I want to express, and I usually do it as a picture. Okay? So if I remember what I want to express as a picture, it would be this, right? These two x values going to 1 with nothing, with 2 missing. That's okay. This is a no, and this is a no. Okay? Apparently my application share, so Gradescope just died and came back. I hope Twitch did not. Twitch was fine. Okay. If I included these alone, I would get half credit. Okay? And +1 refund if I include it with the other. So 1 to 5, how do we feel about how these things get graded? So let's see. There are a lot of ways you could get it, right? If you did the words, every x gets used, no x is used more than once, that would have been 2 points. You did a picture, you got another 1. You got 3. What's the moral of the story? There's actually 2. What's the moral of this story? There are 2 morals of the story. 1, use Scott's definitions. Now, there's an intuitive definition in the book that would have gotten you half credit. The every input has one and only one output. That gives you one. That gives you a point. I mean, that gives you half credit, 2 points. Okay. The last moral of the story is use Scott's definitions. Now, what do you mean we can't use the book definition? I mean, this is the only one I disagree with so strongly that I'll take points off. Okay. So from anything left, you can use a book definition after this one. Okay. I will accept book definitions after that. After this one. But this is the only one I strongly disagree with. And it's first, which is really annoying, isn't it? But it serves a point. The other thing is I bullet stuff, so it actually works. It's actually easier to remember the way I bullet them. All right. So how do we feel about this problem? Do we just hate Scott now and is going to go drop his class? Are we there? I'm like less cheerful. I was saying this much more cheerfully in the last one, and it worked better. I'm not as charismatic the second one. The answer is the answer that I gave that was in the book. I'm not in the book, in my notes. F is a function if for every x there is a y, so that xy is an f. The intuitive answer for that is every x gets used. For any distinct points, x1, y1, x2, y2 in f, x1 does not equal x2. That means that no x is used more than once. And there are a couple other ways to say that formally. All right. Write an example of a function from x to y. All right. No, you don't get an extra point. So it's capped. So there's 4 points on this problem. If you did everything here, you'd still only get 4 points. It's a refund point, right? You get it if you mess something else up. Okay. All right, write an example of a function f from x to y. I had a1, b1, c3. You could have also done, somebody in the previous class said a1, b2, c3. You could have said the following. For every x in x, f of x equals 2. Right? That would have been the constant function. That would have been a2, b2, c2. You could have drawn a diagram. ABC, 1, 2, 3. Did a little Jackson 5. ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. Right? A, B, C. Goes to 1. That's a valid function. I had a function right here. I could have drawn a graph. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. I'll put A3 here, B2 here, C3 here. X space, Y space. Okay. 1 to 5. How do we feel about that one? Oops, I hit the microphone. Give me a 1 to 5. 1 to 5. How do we feel about that? Oh, if you forgot the F equals, I'm going to cry. It's going to hurt my feelings. You forgot the F. Yeah, okay. But you should have it. You want a complete sentence. Is g equals b1 a function? Explain. If not, explain why not. No, a was not used. No, c was not used. X's went unused. Not every x was used. There aren't enough things. Well, you can't really say that. All right. Is h a function? If not, explain why not. No, b was used twice. One of the x's was used twice. And x was used twice. Okay, all of those valid answers. 1 to 5, how do we feel about that? It killed my 1 to 5. Oops. There it went. Okay. You might have to click on the thing if you closed it. Okay, so we feel pretty good about that one. B has 2 values. Awesome. B has 2 phi values associated with it. Awesome. All of those are good things. Yes, I will be posting the answer keys. It takes me a while to get them all done. Okay. All right. Let x equal 0, 1, 2, 3. Y equals 0, 1, 2, 3. Let f go from x to y so that for every x in x, f of x equals this rule. What is the domain of f? Well, it's x. How do I know? I told you. You could have also written 0, 1, 2, 3 as a set. What's the target? Let me do this here. Let me erase this one. The target, or the codomain. Well, why? How do I know? Well, I said so. Or you could have said the set 0, 1, 2, 3. How do we feel there about the first two in part A for that? And are there any questions? Oh, everyone's like, no questions. Be quiet. We want to have more time to work on our problem set. Please ask questions. Is it still 1, 2, 3 for the target? You cannot put 0, 3 in brackets. 0, 3 means the subset of real numbers. Is 0.5 is 1/2 defined here. What is f of 1/2? It's not defined. How do I know it's not defined? Because it's not in my domain. I told you what the domain was. It was x. How do I know? Because I said let f go from x to y. Let's hold off on the image for just a second, or the range. Write f as a set. Yeah, the target's y. How do I know? I said so. Write f as a set. Well, if I plug in 0, I use this, I get 0. If I plug in 1, I use this, I get 2. If I plug in 2, I use this rule, I get 0. If I plug in 3, I use this rule and I get 1. All right, so 1 to 5, how do we feel about that one? So this would be question 2B. Stop. Start. I have a set of ordered pairs. And yes, I should write f equals. Okay, well, what's my image or range? Well, I pull off the y values that I actually used. They were, 0, 2, 0 I already accounted for, 1. Okay, so that last bit of part A, how do we feel? Okay. All right, let's draw an arrow diagram for F. This is my X space, this is my Y space. 0 went to 0, 1 went to 2, 2 went to 0, 3 went to 1. 1 to 5, how do we feel about that little arrow diagram? Holding, multiple choice. Question, this is 3C. This is the arrow diagram, stop and start. Okay, the graph. I draw the y's vertically, the x's horizontally. My points are 0, 0, 1, 2, 2, 0, 3, 1. How do we feel about the graph? What if you connected the dots? Why can't you connect the dots? What is f of 1/2? Right, it's not defined. F of 1/2 is not defined. I can't connect the dots because 1/2 is not defined. Okay? I don't know what it is. It's not defined. Right, too much Pee-wee's Playhouse, right? Connect the dots, la 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 la. You're way too young for that. Okay. The trig. What's the trig? The sine of pi over 2 is 1. How do I know? That's the northiness. The eastiness of pi over 2 is 0. The tangent of pi over 4, well, sine of pi over 4 is the square root of 1/2. The cosine of pi over 4 is the square root of 1/2. Well, that's the same on the top as same on the bottom. That's 1. All right, so question 4 there on the trig. How do we feel? How do we feel on the trig? All right, when it comes to this class, you're going to want to know these points without your calculator. That's not to say you can't use your calculator in the class, but you're going to want to know these points because when you start doing limits of these things, you're going to want to know what's going on. You want to know the sine, cosine, and tangent for 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, pi over 4, and 3 pi over 4. So that's there, 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 and there. Okay? So 1 to 5, how do we feel about the trig values I expect you to be able to quote off the top of your head? Okay. Are there any questions? Comments, issues? Thoughts? Okay. So pull out that problem set. Let me talk about the problem set for a minute. Let me stop the Twitch feed.